Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful Saturday morning for this Science Saturday. We are in the mud. So this is a really exciting Science Saturday because we are joining you from the Southgate Coastal Preserve. This is run by the St. Croix Environmental Association, and we are going to learn about the bird blind, the preserve altogether, and how we as Virgin Islanders can contribute to data that helps to protect our natural resources. So, with Chantel walking behind me, we are going to venture into the mud and find our way to the bird blind. So, we're going to be careful and not trip or slip in the mud, but this is really cool because it's been raining a lot, and so the bird blind is actually in the water from the pond, and we're going to very carefully make our way through. Isn't this exciting? All right. And I want you guys to notice the beautiful mangroves all around us. It is so nice here. I'm also really excited that I'm wearing my waterproof Sperry boots that I got on Poshmark, because secondhand is best. Ooh, it just got my socks wet. It went beyond the waterproof section. That's okay. We are going in. Join us on an adventure as we go deep into the mangroves to the bird blind. Here we go. Ah, it's so deep. This is so fun. Okay, I'm on the concrete step. We made it, guys. That was quite a journey, and we are now entering the bird blind, which I have to say, I've been to this bird blind before, and it's one of my favorite places in the world. So, as we come in, oh my goodness, it's a scientist with binoculars. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey. All right, let's get here in the shade and let's see who we're talking to. All right. Well, I know who you are.
Yeah.
But for the audience, who are you? Why are you? And where are you?
My name is Jen Valiulis. I'm the executive director of the St. Croix Environmental Association. So that's my job, but my passion, my career is as a wildlife biologist, which means that I get to study all the critters and a lot of the plants that, they're related to for my job, which is amazing.
That is amazing. All right. So you've brought me here before. We are in the Southgate bird blind. Tell us a little bit about why this was created.
Well, so Southgate is, the full name of Southgate is the Southgate Coastal Reserve. So this is
I got it right.
Nice.
I
It's a 100-acre nature reserve that we at St. Croix Environmental Association manage. And it's protected primarily because of this huge pond that we're sitting at right now. It is a hot spot for bird diversity. It's actually been designated as an important bird area, which is an official designation
Important bird area is
IBA
official.
for short.
Oh, all right. Science.
Well, so I'll finish what I'm saying, but there is a really key part of science to that. So BirdLife International is the organization that designates these, and the reason being that there are a huge diversity of birds here. It's one of the most important places on St. Croix, certainly, for bird diversity and for other critters as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag, but I am a bird identification expert. Every time I see a bird, I know it's a bird. And I point at it and I say, bird. So, we all have a little bit to learn, but I'm pretty happy that, that's my starting point.
I bet you know more about birds than you think.
All right.
I mean, if you saw a hummingbird, you know it's a hummingbird.
I would,
That's
yes.
a huge, that's not for nothing, because we've got 2 hummingbirds species in the Virgin Islands. So if you know it's a hummingbird, all you need to do is figure out which one it is. And you can there's lots of tools. I brought some along. We have a book called The Birds of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. It's super easy to use. There's even a little write-up about Southgate in it because
famous.
Southgate is
it's an IBA.
It's an IBA.
It's an IBA.
Yeah, exactly.
So I completely derailed your thought, and you were talking about kind of like the scientific importance behind this area.
Sure. Yeah. The scientific importance. I mean, it's not just scientific importance. I want to make that clear because it's important not just to scientists. It's important to all of us because it's a key healthy part of our environment.
Yeah.
It supports a lot of things. Birds are the real obvious standout, but it's all lined by mangroves here.
I caught a spider in my hair.
Hey,
babe.
it's important for spiders.
Important for spiders. We're gonna put you over here. Sorry, buddy.
But the science part of it is really that, and this is one of my favorite things about birds in general, is that a lot of the science doesn't have to be done by scientists. So we know that this is an important bird area. We were able to, when the application went in, say, like, we have a list of all the species here. We know which ones nest here and breed here. And that was data that was collected, some by scientists, but some by community members that are just really interested in birds. And because we had that, community science aspect to it, we were able to then have it designated. And things like that happen all over the place. Right now, there's going to be critical habitat designated for sea turtles because of all of the volunteers
Critical
that,
habitat.
walked beaches, in the sun. And
shout out to the sea turtle research volunteers. So this is the first time that we've done science. Actually, no, we did a Science Saturday with BioBlitz in Southgate. So Science Saturday fans, go back through the archives. We were here. I wasn't here. You guys joined me via a live feed somehow. I don't remember how. But Jen and all of her amazing, wonderfulness was at Sandy Point when we did the Sandy Point Science Saturday. So that is even longer ago. That was a really fun day. So so much important environmental work happening through volunteers, supported by the people who are officially in these roles as your jobs. But as you can see, job, passion, volunteer, it all blends together. Right. So that's really cool.
Yeah, in my mind, it's a really fun way to contribute. If you feel like you want to make the world a better place, there's lots of ways of doing that. And that's kind of the fun part about volunteering is you get to pick and choose. So maybe you're not a people person, but you love being outside. I mean,
who would say that? As I hide behind my microphone in the middle of the mangroves.
I know. And that's a great way. You can go out by yourself. You could even in your own yard look around and record the birds that are there. There's actually an online app called eBird. That allows you to enter your bird data. So, and I do this all the time. I'll be sitting with my coffee in the morning and I say, I see these 3 birds and they're at my house, and I go on eBird and it's super easy. It records the time and where you are, and that helps because that lets us know that they were there. And you might think, well, it's only the common birds. They're boring. Like it's just the, the yellow breast or the sugarbird or whatever. But those are really important. We are finding there was actually a study that came out recently, contributed to by all of the community and professional scientists, that found that in the U.S. and Canada in the last 50 years, we have 3 billion less birds than we did 50 years ago. So that's And to put that in perspective, that's 1 out of 4 birds. So we are losing birds in 50 years.
Yikes.
And that number is just, again, for U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
The same thing is happening worldwide.
Yikes.
And it's common birds, too. And so even though we might say, well, it's really common, it's not as common as it used to be in many cases.
Yeah.
But
that's
why
really
do you
scary.
Care? Like, what if you're like, birds, there's less of them, whatever. They have, I'm sorry.
We've spotted something.
What? An osprey.
Ooh, there's an osprey. I see it.
beautiful. It's fishing.
Ooh. A little healthy breakfast. This is what Science Saturday is about, people. We're out here in the mangroves at the pond.
Did it catch?
I can't tell.
I can't tell either.
It's so pretty in here. It's also so peaceful. Oh, he's back down in the water, splashing around. Or is that somebody else? Nope, that's him. That's the same one. What a fantastic... Oh, he's still fishing.
Yeah.
He's going after something. Or he's just playing in the water.
Could be.
Because it's a beautiful morning.
Could be.
I mean, I confess to have been splashing around in the mud a little bit out there. It was fun. He's still fishing. He's going. Okay. So that is an amazing example of, you're right, this is why we're here.
Okay.
Now he's right there. Okay, so number one, benefits of birds. Like, that's so pretty. Like,
the like mental satisfaction or just joy of seeing a cool bird.
Yeah.
Whether you know what it is or not is
it was a bird.
Hard to manage. I mean, or hard to understand, hard to measure. And I'll give you a great example of this. After Hurricane Maria, if you remember, or Irma on St. Thomas, there were no leaves and no flowers and no seeds. And so there were a lot of birds that, you know, rely on those things to eat. And they were suffering and they were starving. Sea and a couple of other organizations were able to partner with a Caribbean-wide organization called Birds Caribbean to provide bird feeders and hummingbird feeders to whoever was willing to keep them up. There were several hundred of them that went out. And, you know, people would tell me that it was their joy in a really difficult time to watch the birds, to feel like they were able to do something for these birds. And, you know, they said, this is my television. I can't watch my Netflix at night.
I agree.
So I'm watching the birds. And to this day, I still have folks that come up to me who got those bird feeders and say, you know, I still see this bird and that. And
cool.
You know, that is like the part of nature that I think a lot of people don't recognize as being a value.
It's really important.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of studies, science that have shown that, have said that this is, you know, it shows how the different, you know, hormones in your body or the stress regulators react to being outdoors. So, so that's a big benefit. But for birds, there's a lot of other things that, you know, are probably a little bit more maybe appealing or maybe more, you know, well, I'm not going to say which is more than the other, but different importance, yeah. They're key pollinators. So we need pollinators. And if we want to have trees here, if we want to grow our own food, we have to have pollinators.
Yeah.
And so we need them for that. Birds are seed dispersers. So after a hurricane, after a disturbance, or just as part of nature, as the way things go, the birds eat the seeds. They get a little nutrition from them. They go somewhere else. They get rid of the seed in the natural way, and then it grows. And now you've got a new tree or a new plant or a new bush. And so, I mean, that's they are the gardeners of our forests. There are also, a lot of them eat a lot of bugs. Same thing. We don't like bugs that much, or we don't like being bitten by bugs.
Yes.
And we certainly don't like our gardens and our crops being eaten by bugs. And so we have, you know, mosquito eaters and caterpillar eaters and all of these birds that are kind of keeping the bugs, the insects in check. And then, I mean, we could go on and on, but the last thing I want to mention, because again, it's one that people don't think about very much, is nutrient exchange. So we have birds that are seabirds, and they're kind of one of the ones that are key in nutrient exchange. It's important to have, you know, a healthy ecosystem needs certain levels of nutrients, both on land and in water. And any animal that kind of bridges the gap, so seabirds that go fishing, but maybe go fishing in the water, of course, and then nest inland, are transferring nutrients between the two. So they eat the fish and then they bring the digested fish onto land, and that nutrient goes there, and then it probably washes into the ocean. So it's a really important part of
that's interesting, something that we don't really think about. That osprey that we just watched catch a fish, he might, or she, I was not close enough. I don't think I can sex a bird. Going inland and flying around, and then I can't think of a scientific way to say, but it poops.
Yeah, I know. I'm
trying to say it delicately. All the scientific ways to say it. But yeah, that's a really cool benefit.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're on St. Croix. It took me 10 minutes to get here from the seaplane because I flew over from St. Thomas this morning. If you're already on St. Croix, we're right by so many neighborhoods. You come out here and you come into the bird blind, which, by the way, is about 15 degrees cooler than it is out there. Hashtag climate change. It's December. But in here, it is windy, it is lovely, and we have our binoculars and we sit down. What do? Well, other than just relax and enjoy it because it's beautiful.
Relax and enjoy it is would be the first thing I tell you.
Yeah.
When you come here, so
there's a bird in. Nope, that's not a bird. Never mind. Not a bird. So we're in here.
So when you first come here, usually you're chatting and you're making a little noise when you come up here, and the birds hear that and they're like, what are you? We're not quite sure. We're gonna kind of duck into the vegetation for a little bit. And so you might come here and be like, I'm here to see the birds. Where are they? Do exactly what you said. Sit down, relax, quiet for a little bit, and then they'll start coming back. And we have, right now, the pond is full, which means we have a lot of ducks around. And you'll start seeing the ducks start coming in front of the bird blind and swimming around. You'll see them just come out of the vegetation once they realize that you're not trying to injure them or hurt them. You're just trying to look at them.
Yeah.
And so once they start coming out, it's always helpful to have binoculars. It just helps you see them a little better, or a lot better, actually. And take a look at what you're seeing. Think about there's a lot of identification guides. We have a couple hanging up in the bird blind here. I mentioned this book again, which is great. If you don't have that with you, there's an app, of course, called...
Always an app.
I know. I appreciate the apps a lot. An app called Merlin. And Merlin is really, really useful. It's very straightforward. They ask you 5 questions about the bird, and it's not, complicated. It's like, is it, the size of a chicken, or is it the size of a goose? Kind of along those lines. What are the 3 main colors? And from that, based on your location, it will give you a list of the possible birds that are in that area. And so you can look at that and say, no, yes, that's exactly it. And so then you have your bird.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's how sometimes. So some birds are really, really difficult to tell apart. They're really similar. It's down to the color of the ring around their eye. Those are tough, even for people who've been doing this for decades.
And that would be like different types of the same general, related species.
Exactly, and you could do something like that. Like if you saw, back to our hummingbird example, you saw a hummingbird. That is useful information, even if you don't know which one it is. And, we talked about the eBird app where you can record your observations. If I know there's hummingbirds there, that's great because I know that there's the right flowers right there. If there are not hummingbirds there and we expect them to be, that's even more useful information because that's something that we can do something about. Okay. We can start planting trees that,
plant trees for the pollinators.
Yes, planting trees. I'm always going to, whatever thing I ever do, I'm going to say that planting trees is one of the best things that you can do for the environment, period.
Cool.
It helps, especially if you're planting native trees. Native trees are adapted to the conditions here. They're more likely to survive. And they're also what the wildlife recognizes. So it might to us...
That's a really good point.
Yeah. A hummingbird, we might plant a tree that seems like a hummingbird would like it, but it's from another part of the world where
hummingbirds no thanks. I don't know what that is. I'm not eating that.
Exactly. That looks a little sketchy to me. I'm going to go for
I would probably still eat it, but
right.
That's me. I'm a dumb human. I'm just, I'm here for it.
It could go well for you. You might have a whole new fun experience, or it could go really, really bad.
Yeah.
So
hummingbirds smarter than Kitty.
You kind of remind me of a hummingbird, actually. A lot of energy, everything. So tree planting, and we have some information about, what trees are good for what, where they, and, there's a lot of guidance about where you want to plant the right tree.
Right.
You want to make sure you don't plant it too close to your cistern, or under power lines if it's going to be a tall tree. Or the right part of the island based on, rainfall.
Yeah. So actually, I think I see a lot of people wanting to cut down trees because it's damaging their house. And that's the kind of planting that you really need to think about. Always plant trees, but if you know that this tree is going to grow to 30 feet high and the root system likes to seek out water, how many cisterns in the Virgin Islands do we have where trees are just going straight for the cistern? And so, pull it back a little bit.
Exactly.
Plant something smaller there.
Yeah.
Consult an expert. Don't consult me. This is just very general stuff. But yeah, talk to your neighborhood tree experts. I promise one of your neighbors is obsessed with trees.
Yeah.
Because they're awesome.
Definitely.
So that's a really, really cool thing that we can do to help the environment. What else can we do as Virgin Islanders? What else do you recommend? For birds.
For birds.
Yeah.
Again, one of the things that we talk about a lot for birds and for turtles and for our own cleanliness is dispose of trash properly. Birds that are looking for flowers, maybe, or for seeds, might see something really beautifully, brightly colored, like a bottle cap, and say, "Oh, I'm going to go for that."
Right.
That looks like a big, healthy piece of food, and they eat it. And then they get sick, and we find a lot of birds that have eaten stuff like that, and ultimately will die from it. And this happens all over the world, and it's happened in islands that are so far away from human habitation, but the ocean carries whatever's in it to them.
Yeah,
so
even if you're not physically touching the water, the impacts that we have go everywhere.
Exactly.
It's terrifying and wild.
Yeah. So dispose of trash properly, but then the next step, and probably even the better step, is to not use plastic whenever possible. Use something that goes away, that degrades quickly.
Like a beautiful water bottle. Yeah, we have some Twinsy stickers. I have the Manta. I have the Wild. I have a sea sticker. Yeah.
I have one that says, "You can change the world." We're talking about that.
We can. In the bird blind, we can change the world.
But yeah, this is a great way. It's fun other than plastic water bottles, to carry your water with you, carry your juice with you, carry your whatever with you to the beach. Or
I love
to
to take a little slice of ginger and put it in my water bottle. So it's not a soda, it's not a sugary drink. It's just a tiny little bit of ginger in my water.
Yeah. Or, if you're out hiking around, sometimes there's the electrolytes and all that kind of stuff you want to have.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I have an idea for something that Virgin Islanders can do for the environment.
I have an idea. I think we're thinking along the same lines here. And we have a special guest today that is going to
thought
join
she
us
could hide in the doorway. Come on in here.
You can do.
Okay, this is a Science Saturday intro. Who are you? Where are you? Why are you?
Oh, yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Shalana Brown, and I'm the director of Sanctuary Festival Troupe. So we know Crucian Christmas Festival is coming upon us. And we are talking about environment this year. That's one of our themes. We've done environment previously, but our troupe also brings in cultural aspects. So we often think like culture is something that we wear, like people like madras, or foodways, beignet, saltfish.
I mean, I love all these things so far.
But culture is also our environment.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
And so we wanted to make sure that we talked about our coral conservation and through all our marine environments. So we are so excited to be here today. We actually have Olivia Walton, who's one of our ambassadors. She's here. She's part of C. And we have Jennifer in the troupe this year.
I know. Making my debut on the road.
So we fit in with our purpose.
I love it, fetting with a purpose. Look, I love carnival. I love everything about it. The food, the road, the troops, everything. But to bring in our environmental culture, I think is so beautiful. Yeah. Hey, Olivia. I saw you hiding out there. I mean, culture, environment, all of it. Where was the inspiration for this?
It was just an argument that we're losing a lot of tradition in our festival, and we know culture evolves. So, I love all types of troops. I play in different types of troops. There is a tradition called masquerading, which Kitty, I know you were in a masquerader in St. Thomas. So for your viewers, some of your viewers might have playing clowns with the younger versions. There is a masquerading tradition that's kind of like fading away, and it's called Pitchy Patchy masquerading. And I think there's 2 troops left on St. Croix, and one of them, the members got really older, and not a lot of young persons replenished it. And so although I wouldn't say that we are traditional, Olivia, we've weaved in like a lot of their aesthetics into our costuming, but also we took on the colors of the ocean, because I think if we're going to talk about tourism and how beautiful our island space is, I think we also should talk about the awareness and our responsibility to keep it beautiful, so that we can always have tourism as part of our economy, but just our general responsibility as humans.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of this. I am so excited. I've seen the pictures of the costumes on Facebook. Go on Facebook and look. What's the tag?
Sanctuary Festival Troupe.
Sanctuary Festival Troupe. The costumes are beautiful. And I actually saw a post, an email. Yes, you emailed me. That's what it was. Something happened on my computer screen that if you are not able to join the troupe as a costume, you can purchase one of the shirts and support you guys.
Yeah. We really want to give, like, when we're going down the road, persons like you, Kitty, who are on the road interviewing, that we give this opportunity to conservation agencies to talk about some of the things that they're doing. So not only to engage persons and let them know, but how can you be part of it? So we won't be going around down the road saying, "Wow!" Well, we'll be going down the road saying, "Woo!" and conservation. But I'll let Olivia talk more, because she's our ambassador.
Yes, yeah. Tell me more, Olivia.
So the email was kind of a request for environmental professionals here and St. Thomas, if you want to come on over, to join us on the road in a shirt. You don't have to necessarily wear a costume, but to join us so that we show how many of us are working on this type of thing, and how many of us care, and we want everyone else to know that, and to understand the work that is already being done to protect our environment.
Amazing. I'm so excited for this troupe. What better way to protect our environment than on the road, right? I'm really excited. I'm so excited to see everybody and the costumes and the conversations. I really hope that this starts conversations because as we are talking about, even with Science Saturday, I do this every month, but I still feel a little bubbled. Let's be honest, I talk to my friends every month because I have really cool friends. And so to bring it out more into the community, It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
You guys are going to look great.
Well, and conservation isn't limited to professionals, to us, we are, like I said, the fortunate ones who can make it part of our professional life, but it affects everybody, and everyone affects it. Everyone affects the environment.
Yes.
And we all own it together. It's not owned by the couple of people that are doing science on it. It is, I would say, actually, it's not owned by anyone, but it's
all
cared
of us
for,
together.
it's stewarded by everyone who is here. And so everyone should get to be part of it and celebrate it.
Absolutely. So ways to protect our birds. Come out to the bird blind. Relax, enjoy this beautiful area. Write down the birds that you see. Walk through the mangroves. Take some time. And when it's time for carnival, go down the road with Sanctuary Festival Troop.
And then plant some trees.
Because what better way to recover at the end of the day than to be like out in nature? I recommend being barefoot. I'm in my fancy boots today, but yes, thank you. Yeah. So the bird blind is beautiful. I really love it in here, but there's some cool stuff out there. Yeah. Should we be brave and walk out with our microphone connected to Chantel and take a little peek as we are right at 31 minutes. Our timing is amazing.
Before we do that, I did want to just, so everyone knows, you may not know where Southgate is. So we're in the Chenet Bay area near Cheeseburgers, so kind of on the northeast part of St. Croix. This place is open all the time. We don't have a gate. Everyone is welcome to come here, so please do. And the trail here is to the bird blind is about a third of a mile. It's flat, takes less than 10 minutes to get here. So we're 8. It depends. I know. It depends on the age of the students you're with. Yeah. Also depends on how many birds you see. It's taken me 30 minutes before because I'm like, look over there. But we just wanted to, say if anyone is, we want people to visit here. This is for people. We are putting, there's also,
who was that?
Those, I think, were kingfishers, belted kingfishers.
Ooh, cool.
Anyways, there also are educational signs about the trees we're planting. So we are planting lots of trees here. We've planted well over 1,000 of them at Southgate and counting constantly. And further, if you have a youth group or even an adult group, we offer field trips and tours periodically. Field trips especially. Olivia is our education coordinator for the St. Croix Environmental Association, and she would be thrilled to take a group out. But we also, if there's, like I said, a group of adults, a church group.
We did our team retreat out here with you guys. We brought all the parks employees out.
Yeah, yesterday we had the World Ocean School.
Amazing.
So it's just like a lovely place to be outside, low pressure, get to appreciate what we have and what we can do.
All right, so as we were walking in here, I was giggling at all the little crabs running around in the mud. So let's see if we can safely, Chantel, you going in front of us or behind us? Okay, here we go. We are tethered. We are going to do it. So we are going back out into the mangroves from whence we came. And it really is a beautiful day. There are a lot of spiders, but it's okay. They're all friendly.
And usually you can walk right up to this and keep your feet dry.
Yes.
We just have had an extraordinary amount of rain this year, so if you're coming soon, be prepared to get your feet a little wet. Feels kind of nice.
It does, actually. It is as lovely as it is in the bird blind. It's a little warm today.
So these are mangroves here. This is our black mangrove. We have a white mangrove here. The birds we have warblers, which are small birds that migrate here, and they spend their winters hanging out in the mangroves here.
Nice. That sounds like a lovely winter.
Yeah. They, their summers are in Canada, so...
Oh, interesting.
They kind of gotta... They're snowbirds.
Yeah, they're snowbirds. Oh, goodness. Okay, so we are back out in the mud. So, this is the mangrove leading up to the pond. What kind of ecosystem, what kind of animals do we have out here?
So this is a mangrove ecosystem. Mangroves, I know you've had them on previous Science Saturdays.
Yep.
They're super important trees in the Virgin Islands. And so important that they are about the only ones that are actually protected, particularly by law.
Okay.
I would argue that we probably have others that we need to do better at protecting, but nonetheless, they are incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned, we have warblers and like little birds that hang out in here. We also, they're all hiding now, but there are these itty bitty crabs.
There were a bunch back here when we walked out.
Called fiddler crabs.
Cute.
And you can tell them fiddler crabs they're called fiddler crabs because they have one claw that's bigger than the other, so like a fiddle or a violin. And they live here. And the reason they're so important, especially for birds, is that we have birds that migrate here from the Arctic, from Canada. They come here for the winter after they've done their breeding in the far, far north. Little too cold to spend in the winter.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. So they come through here and either stay here for the winter or go to South America. But this is an important, we call them staging grounds or stopover areas. So as they're going, and these birds fly thousands of miles, tens of thousands of miles. And they're like, I know this great place, to stop. If you've ever been traveling, you're like, I know the perfect hotel right on the way.
There's a pond. There are some people. They take pictures of us.
Exactly.
The crabs are delicious.
We'll get to be part of science.
Yes.
So they know that they come here, and there's going to be a lot of crabs for them to eat, or seeds or vegetation, whatever. But crabs are one of the big ones, and this is why it's so important to have protected areas.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
Is if those birds, which, we've talked about why they're so important generally, if they don't have somewhere to come, they've flown thousands of miles and they're like, okay, I can eat when I get there. And that place is no longer there because we've paved it over. They are going to starve.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that we identify these key staging areas. It's why it's so important for us to observe and record the birds, and then follow through with that data and say, okay, these are the places that we've identified that are important for protection and management.
Yeah, that's such an important point, and exactly where my mind was going next. I was like,
Sure.
These birds are flying tens of thousands of miles, and they're like, this is the spot. This is how far we have to get. There's food, there's shelter, and then imagine flying up on this and it's gone. Yikes. So this is why we need our protected spaces. So as we finish up, I want to walk just a little bit further into the little bit more shaded area, and I want to show everyone the walkway that you have, which, just a little bit of built infrastructure that makes it just a really easy way to enjoy this area. Ooh, what you got?